May 25th, 2025. All of South Africa sits and waits with bated breath. Activity has come to a complete halt across the country as the country turns its attention towards the United States and the meeting between President Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump at the White House. They'll be meeting in just a couple of hours, and after the greeting, they'll have a working lunch. After the lunch, a press briefing, and the popcorn comes out. What will happen? Many South Africans, especially Afrikaners, but not exclusively Afrikaners, are waiting with bated breath, and many have a fear that the teddy bear charm of Cupcake Ramaphosa, as many South Africans call him, President Cyril Ramaphosa, or the Hippo, or the Ramaphosa, lots of nicknames for the President of South Africa, but many people in South Africa fear that his charm offensive will convince President Trump to suspend the refugee resettlement program, or will move the needle in a way that will benefit the elites in South Africa, like some of the people sitting around the table today. So invited to this lunch are none other than Ernie Els and Hussein will be going along, two golfers well known to Trump, friends of his, they've known for a long time. And a lot of people think this charm offensive is going to be successful at getting Trump to change his position. Now, that may be the case. Will President Trump be a man of mettle? Will he be a man of principle and stand up? I think that President Trump has an awful lot of political capital to lose should he rescind the program or decide to change it and do away with the refugee resettlement program. He's put a lot of political capital into this with really very little effort. Most of his attention, of course, is focused on Ukraine, on Gaza, on the Democrats, the budget, reciprocal tariffs. South Africa is very low priority, despite the fact that the South African media are convinced that South Africa is the most important thing in the world. It's not. If that hurts your feelings, I'm really sorry, but that's just the reality, the geopolitical reality. This is not 1975 or 1985. This is 2025, and the world is very different. And what the U.S. can do to South Africa can be quite painful, and let's hope it doesn't go that direction. I have grave concerns that Ramaphosa will try to lecture Trump or try to bribe him with deals. And this has been the approach the South African media has been sharing from leaks coming out of the Ramaphosa camp, that they're not going to focus on the Afrikaners or on discrimination, racial discrimination, the imposition of apartheid-like legislation that's even more pernicious than some of the apartheid legislation against ethnic minorities. They're not going to focus on that. Well, they may not focus on that, but I suspect Donald Trump is going to focus on that. Donald Trump doesn't like racists. He doesn't like racism. He doesn't like people getting artificial advantage, which is racism. And I suspect that the officials, Ramaphosa and his team of D-list ministers, corruption-accused Kumbuzo Ntshavheni, failed minister in everything she's ever done, serial pathological liar Ronnie Lamola, who lies about every single thing, including the U.S. Use of eminent domain, completely gets it wrong. He knows better. He's simply lying to the public. And then Parks Towell, the proponent of the so-called grifter 3% black tax, taking 3% of corporate profits to put into a slush fund, which of course we know is going to be misused. And even if it's not misused, it's exclusively for the use of black South Africans, which is racist. So you're bringing someone who avows to create racist programs that Trump will like to see go away as part of your delegation. And then you have discredited Agricultural Minister John Steenhuisen, who really just surrendered his Democratic Alliance credentials and joined the ANC because he spews and spouts everything the ANC says every day. There's nothing wrong with that. He's welcome to be a member of the ANC. But he is, in the eyes of many South Africans, betrayed the interest of Afrikaners. Their opinion, not mine. I'm just sharing what many South Africans had to say. I don't know if he's been a success or failure. He's opened up trade with China and with Thailand, and he's trying to do it for lamb for Iran, according to the Democratic Alliance. So maybe he's being successful there, but he seems to be in bed with agribusiness and not with the small-scale farmer or with those who are suffering under what's happening in South Africa. Now, a big mistake by the South African delegation is going to be to focus on, well, these refugees, if it comes up, these refugees, you know, everyone's a victim of crime. We don't care. That isn't what the issue is. Well, they're not being discriminated against. In fact, they are. They are. All these laws which exclude minorities from education, from government employment, from government contracts. This is the problem. And if the government of South Africa honestly thinks that they are going to bribe Donald Trump by offering no forced disclosure or sale of equity in Starlink, giving them a license to operate without selling their shares to black South Africans or giving them to black South Africans, if you think it's going to work, you do realize that Elon Musk was brought in to discover fraud, waste, and abuse in the U.S. government, and that's what he's been doing for nearly 4 months, and his term is about to expire. He's found billions of dollars of fraud in the U.S. government. He's exposed it, and you really think that that's the guy that you're going to be able to bribe on behalf of Trump? Give me a break. And also this benefit for our port going there, it's not going to be enough. And the natural gas off the coast and the rare earth elements in the crew, this is not what it's about, folks. Trump may like all this stuff. He may accept all that stuff, but that is not why this relationship is in the crapper. This relationship is in the crapper for the very reasons I've talked about endlessly. And Trump has also mentioned, because of the actions of the government of national unity, and prior to that, the ANC for years, acting against U.S. national interests, insulting the U.S., calling the president a racist, calling Americans racist, while we give you billions of dollars. How insulting is that? $8.1 billion. There are millions of South Africans alive today because of the generosity of people like me and my neighbors, American taxpayers, funding your HIV crisis that you did nothing to stop under Thabo Mbeki, and allowed it to metastasize and become the country with the most HIV-infected people in the world. Only 63 million people in South Africa, and you've got over 8 million people with HIV. That's your own doing. It's not a criticism. But we generously gave $8.1 billion just for you to crap on our leg, just for you to piss down our pants for years. That's what this is about. Your relationship with Iran. That's what this is about. It is not about refugees. It is not about trade deals. That's a consequence of your actions. And if they don't understand that going to this meeting today with Donald Trump, it's game over. 31% tariffs are coming your way. The South African government has squandered 6 weeks of a 12-week period, which Trump gave to countries to come and negotiate on a bilateral basis a fair trade deal. And South Africa has failed to send a trade representative. Not a single person has come here to talk to the Trump administration. 78 countries sent people within 2 or 3 days. But now Trump administration is tired of working the bilateral deals. He said they're just going to set the rates for countries. Well, that might change today, but don't hold your breath. So it's going to take some humility, some honesty, and some serious commitments to actually affect change, like BEE, EWC, things like that. Short of that, this isn't going to go well for South Africa. I don't think that Cyril Ramaphosa will be Rasul. He also won't be Zelensky. The South African media are lying about Zelensky, saying that Zelensky was ambushed. No. Zelensky was an asshat and tried to ambush Trump and embarrass the United States like he does with weak European leaders all the time. He does it all the time. He got what he deserved, a righteous PK for being an asshat. Let's hope that Ramaphosa doesn't behave the same way today. What say you, South Africa? What say you, world? That's my take. Don't get yourself resold. Cheers.